going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. 10-5, touchdown, Kansas City. Damian Williams runs to immortality and will be remembered forever in the Chiefs' kingdom.
Welcome in to the Brawl Network podcast. Here's your host.
Oh, do you want us to start? What's up, everybody? My name is Tim Rodriguez. I'm an editor and a writer over at the Brawl Network. You can also check me out on Dolphins Brawl sometimes. And find me on Twitter at Tim C. Rodriguez.
Hey guys, I'm Bret Legacy. You can find me on Draft Brawl. I'm also on Twitter at Bret Legacy67. I know my name is very original on Twitter. So we got a lot of things to cover today, Tim.
Yes, we do. I'm real excited.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
I mean, between conferences and college shutting down, between tight ends getting paid, I mean, where do we start from here?
I think you got to start with the big conversation: Big Ten, Pac-12, pretty much punting on the season.
Yeah, I feel bad for the kids that were looking to get drafted. You know, think about guys like Chuba Hubbard, Shaun Wade, Tyler Wallace. These guys could have been drafted pretty high last year, and they come into this season. Now the season's gone, and it feels like a wasted year for them. Now they got to sit out just to enter the 21 draft. It's a shame.
I know some guys like Pat Freiermuth, tight end from Penn State. I don't think he has any reason to transfer. I think he enters the draft tomorrow. He's a top 50 pick, like he would have been a top 50 pick this year. I think he's tight end 1, probably going to be the first tight end off the board. He would have been this year. So all he's doing is waiting a year to get drafted. But personally, I look at a guy like Shaun Wade, cornerback from Ohio State. I think he is a transfer candidate. And the big place I'm looking at is Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has their own star corner, Caleb Farley. He's opted out for the year. The only reason that Shaun Wade went back to Ohio State this year was to prove that he can play on the outside and not just in the nickel. The NFL values the outside much more than the nickel. So I think Wade can just slide right in to Farley's spot at Virginia Tech. He took a visit to Virginia Tech when he was coming out of high school. He knows the system. He knows the staff. I think that's a glove-like fit, and he should already be on the phone with Virginia Tech coaches.
If they're allowing them open transfers to play right away, ACC looks like they're going to keep rolling and play. And Virginia Tech's actually a good option for him because they'll end up having to face Clemson at some point with them keeping it in conference play. And that'd be a good rematch in a sense for him since he got ejected from that game. So that actually would be a very interesting landing spot for him, getting to land in a tough conference. With ACC is getting better, and he could really show what he could do on the outside of the ACC. I don't have any landing spots for him necessarily, but I think he should look to transfer, like you said, to prove he could play on the outside. But if he can't, I think he's still a draftable prospect. I think he's shown enough that he can. But he might not get drafted as high as he may want to. So transfer may work for him to play in the fall. But if he can't play in the fall, it's not worth him playing in the spring. Which leads to the next topic, though. I mean, because do these guys play in the spring with the draft? I think it's foolish to try to play in the spring and then turn around and try to play in the fall.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if a player has any chance to be a day 1 or a day 2 pick and they stay at their school that wants to play in the spring, I don't think that guy plays. I mean, unless you really need to prove something on tape that's not on your current evaluation of tape, I don't see a reason to try to play in January through March, get drafted sometime in the summer, and then hit training camp in July. That's not enough rest for your body.
No, it's really not. And anybody who is running that risk, I mean, the players already, like, look at Nick Bosa a couple years ago. He took the year off to focus on him and getting healthy 100% and then get ready for the draft. Imagine a player trying to get healthy for the season in just 2 months. It's not feasible. It's not smart. It doesn't benefit them, in my opinion. I mean, maybe a freshman trying to prove himself, that might work for them in this spring, but not so much guys who have been there. It's not worth the risk because they could lose their draft stock completely. To me, it's not worth the risk. Either wait till 2021 fall or just enter the 21 draft. I mean, those are pretty much the options for some of these guys.
Yeah, I don't think a spring season makes sense at all. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't either, and I don't see how. If you play in the spring, there's no way you can get drafted. I mean, it's not baseball where you can get drafted and still play, and the team owns the right to you in a sense. But I don't know.
Well, I talked about this a little bit on Tuesday's episode with Anna Lewis at Anna Lewis, and I'll say it again. It's dumb. Because now even the kids, if the kids are going to opt out, they're not going to play because if they're draft eligible, right? It's stupid for them, like you guys just said. But the other kids, you're putting them at a greater risk just physically because now you're going to ask them to play back-to-back seasons, or how long are you going to keep doing this spring season and keep jacking around? Because every year now the NFL at some point is going to get mad at you because now their top prospects are always going to be opting out, and they're not going to have an actual season before they want to draft them. This is just a cluster F of all kinds of stuff, and it's like play or don't play, but this was one of the dumbest ideas they could have come up with. Further showing why the NCAA governing body needs to be dismantled and something new needs to be built. These guys are morons, and they sit on their hands, and when they do make decisions, it's just the most terrible, confusing, dumb decisions you could possibly make.
Oh, actually, that's a great point, too, because why sit there and make them play 2 seasons? Look, you make the tough decision, no football or football, and that's a hard decision to make. But I would much rather these guys not to have a season, sit out a season, have extra year eligibility, however it works out, but have no season and then play in 2021. But playing in the spring, it's just you're asking for nothing but trouble. In my opinion, it's just not going to work out. High school, that's a little different. College, it won't work out in the spring unless it has to be a very shortened season. When they say spring, it has to be December, January the games start, not all the way into March, April when the games are starting. It just won't work at all. And then how's the NCAA going to do it? You're not allowed to be drafted while you're playing. So if you're draft eligible, you enter the draft, you're not playing. So I don't know. But then I touched on Nick Bosa on the Twitter account about last week about him opting out, and it's kind of players are doing that now, and we've already kind of seen this, and I think that's already going to happen anyway. I think players are going to opt out.
Nick Bosa at worst wasn't going to make it past the top 15. Now, how many?
No, you're absolutely right.
For fringe second round guys, I mean, look, I had a guy on Titletown Brawl last night in Curtis Bolton out of Oklahoma. And he didn't have a lot of starts or anything, but the kid's athletic talent is undeniable, a great athlete. Everybody projected him third, fourth round. No way he was getting past the fourth round. Undrafted rookie free agent.
Yeah.
And he had good tape.
You're right.
So it happens.
It's hard to say. And then they're going to have to trust what the scouts are telling them, what they're being told is the truth, because if not, they're going to be getting misinformation, and they're going to make a decision off of bad information. And players already do that anyway. We see players declare that scouts say, no, you should have stayed, and then they get drafted in the 6th, 7th round. And you see it take a couple of years to develop. They should have stayed one more season.
I think another angle to this that not many people are talking about, as of right now, the rule says the draft can't be held any later than June 2nd. You'd have to negotiate with the NFLPA. And as we saw this offseason, the NFLPA and the NFL are not on the same page for anything. And it takes weeks and months for these negotiations to happen. What's going to happen if the NFLPA says, no, the draft is being held June 2nd at the latest? How are you going to squeeze in a combine and pro days? It just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. I mean,
bad.
Look how they try to squeeze in pro days and combines this year. They barely got the combine in, and then a couple teams barely got the pro days in, and then that was it. Yeah.
And there's a lot of questionable drafting going on this year. And that's with, 85, 90% of your normal information. Now you're going to ask these teams, these are billion-dollar businesses. They are not going to like or sit around and be happy with you having to make million-dollar decisions with 15 or 20% of the information they normally have. Like, I don't know what the NCAA is doing here, but they really depend, honestly. For them to survive, they depend on the NFL being interested in drafting their players. If the NFL starts to get mad at them, they can really bulldog and bully these guys into making decisions that's what I mean. There's no backbone to the NCAA. There's no authority. There's no leadership. It's like my kids have probably more common sense than the NCAA, and they're 9 and 11. So
you got to make the decision: are we playing football or not? You can't say we might play football in the spring. It's not fair. It's not fair to the guys who want to go to the NFL. Because they think maybe I should transfer, maybe I shouldn't transfer.
Well, the NCAA being the governing body should make this decision. Let's think about it. These kids are kids. They're just graduated high school. They're only 2-3 years out of high school. And I'm not saying they're not capable of making big decisions, but you're going to ask them to make a decision for their life future. The NCAA should make that decision pretty simple for them by these grown adults with life experience being able to say, hey, let's make the best decision for these kids. But instead, really, in reality, it's just about let's make the best decision for our revenue. And I get it. The money from football helps the other sports in schools. But let's be honest, the NCAA is all about the money. And they always have been. That's why they've been looked at as a cartel, as some lawyers have said. So, I don't know. But yeah. Speaking of the NFL, I'll go on, Tim. What were we going to say?
Go ahead. I was just going to say, since you're talking about money, you might as well get talking about the money-hungry NFL guys that are arguing with the players that want more money. So, I mean, you got billionaires bickering with millionaires, and the funny thing is the billionaires are trying to tell the millionaires it's okay, and the millionaires are like, yeah, you think it's okay because it's my body that's on the line. You're going to pay me millions. I'll make you billions. Like, no. I think the funniest thing right now all across sports is the tycoons that run the shows. I've lost all control and power over everybody else because everybody else is like, you're only sitting on that cash because of my butt, and I'm done with it right now. It ain't worth the risk.
Oh, they're scared right now. NFL teams are scared to lose their star power. And there's been some decent names, some pretty big names that have opted out so far in the NFL. And think of a guy like Dante Hightower, that like the heart and soul of the Patriots defense, if you will. And then you look at the Bills lost Tre'Davious White. So it's like, man, those are two AFC East teams that lost some key players on their defense already. And I think that's making the owner sweat a little bit. We haven't had many quarterbacks, if any, opt out, but imagine if a big name opts out. That's going to really hurt them. It's going to hurt them big.
All these guys in the AFC East are opting out because they're scared of Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins.
Well, with no time to prepare, I'd be scared of them too at this point because they surprised everybody last year with 5 wins.
With Ryan Fitzpatrick leading the team in rushing.
Yeah, that was a tough season. But with the opt-outs, I mean, NFL's allowing some tryouts right now. And then, so with the tryouts, we have some big names out there. You have still Jadeveon Clowney, you got Logan Ryan, Snacks Harrison, and just I can't even think of some landing spots for these guys at the moment with everything, but I think Logan Ryan, his name keeps popping up. I really think him going back to New England is a perfect fit for him, or even the Bills who just lost White would be a really good move for them. But he's been playing more safety than anything. But I really think New England is going back to New England is just a perfect spot for him.
I've got that written down in my notes. Logan Ryan should return to New England. Because the way I'm looking at the Patriots is you're not going to be able to remake the trenches in 4 weeks. You lost everyone in the trenches, but you still have the best secondary in the NFL. You got a lot of cap space from your opt-outs, so let's just keep adding to the secondary. Let's play to our strengths. Let's take Kyle Duggar, the rookie safety, and let's throw him at linebacker. He can tackle, he can hit, and let's put Logan Ryan. He knows the system. Keep investing in your strengths. You're not going to be able to generate a pass rush, so just make it so no one can throw on you. I mean, you got Josh Allen and Sam Darnold in your division. Keep adding defensive backs.
And you know how much they love their defensive backs. I mean, their defense is built around those defensive backs. So, and Logan Ryan can play nickel. He can play outside corner. He can play safety. He even play some box safety. So, and the other landing spot, I think, is the obvious one going back with Brian Flores in Miami. It would be a good option, but it doesn't seem like Miami's been interested, though they've been adding some bodies in the secondary. As far as Clowney goes, I feel like he's burned bridges. I feel like teams don't trust his dedication. Nobody has really been pressed to sign him. I feel like he's just wanting to play for a winner, but those winning teams are not really looking at him at the moment. But he may get signed before the season starts. Maybe Houston. I don't see him going back to Seattle, but that's, I think, his best chance of landing on a team before the season starts is Seattle.
Well, you know where you sign when you burn all your bridges? You sign with the New York Jets. He's been rumored to go to the Jets. He's got his teammate Bradley McDougald there now. You know the Jets. They love their names. I could see that happening.
Well, I was going to say you could always, go down to Tampa Bay, because
yeah.
Why
he
not?
Doesn't meet the age. He doesn't meet the age requirement. He's too young. 35 and up.
Oh, I forgot. And have to be retired at least once.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, at least one. At least one time.
Once. Can't be a pass catcher in Tampa Bay if you haven't retired at least once.
Now,
all right, you know what? I will tell you this, though, guys. I know where some guys that aren't going to be moving anytime soon, and that's the big news that's dropped both this morning and this afternoon, and the two big contracts for the big tight ends out there, Kelsey and Kittle. Kittle dropped first, 5 years, $75 million, $15 million per year per Adam Scheffler, and 4 year, $57.25 million with $28 million guaranteed per Adam Schefter. 2 years left on his other contract that Kelsey signed, which was 5 years, $46 million in 2016. 6 years total. Kelsey is going to remain and probably retire down there in Kansas City. But Kittle, $15 million a year, he's going to be underpaid really quick, because as soon as he's a better route runner and a pass catcher, he's better. He's already bigger and stronger than Kelsey. All that he lacks is the hands and the route running ability that Kelsey has. So this is going to be interesting to see how these guys battle these contracts out and what the market is going to be like now. And it's amazing. But I think they're both going to be underpaid in their own minds sooner than later.
That's always how it works. I still remember the outrage of Joe Flacco's contract. Now you look back at that contract, like that's all he got. So all the inflation changes, but Kittle, I think him and Kelsey are worth every penny they were paid. And you're right, actually those figures weren't as eye-popping as I thought they would be, maybe more so for Kittle. But Kittle is just a flat-out beast. He is what every NFL team is going to be looking for at tight end. Big, physical, nasty tight end that can block. He's just got that dog in him. Tough as nails. But he'll go out and he'll catch the football and break tackles on the way. He's just incredible to watch. He's fun to watch. He's exciting to watch. I'm not a 49ers fan by any means, but every time the 49ers are on my TV, I'm looking for Kittle. I'm looking for him to make a play. And man, when he does, it's like watching Marshawn Lynch run with the ball sometimes with him. It's just fun.
I
so
honestly
I'm glad
have
to see
no
the 49ers
reason to like
up.
Kittle. I don't. As a guy that covers the Packers, Don't have a reason to like him. He was very mean to my team twice last year, and once that cost the Super Bowl. So I don't have a reason to like him, but I really do. It's hard not to. He's insane, and I'm drawn to that. I don't know. Can't help it.
I think you're right. That Kittle deal is going to be a bargain by next year. You think about how good he was last season. That was his first full season with Jimmy Garoppolo. They're just going to keep building more chemistry, knowing what each other wants. I mean, it's not going to be like a Brady and Gronk, but Brady and Gronk didn't regress. They got better the more they played with each other. And for Kelsey, those are the two best tight ends in the league right now. And Kansas City does not believe in the salary cap. They believe the salary cap is a myth, and they don't care about it. Patrick Mahomes, $450 million. Chris Jones, $20 million a year. And now Travis Kelce, second highest paid tight end in the NFL. But it doesn't matter because they're just going to keep winning because they're really damn good.
You know, you look at the Chiefs. Everybody that these guys are no different than the Aaron Rodgers-led 2009 through 2011 team. And in 2011, go look at the Sports Illustrated cover. 15-1, gonna dominate. I don't. Oh
yeah.
I don't buy it. I've seen this story before. Oh, and I've seen it before then. And they actually did win 3 rings, but they should have won like 12. But the team got broke up, and it's the team I hate, the Dallas Cowboys. I've seen it. There's only one team that's really been successful in the long stretch, and it's the team everybody hates. The ex-Tom Brady's in New England.
And they were the ones that were the exception to the rule because they did it after losing players and somehow just rebuilding right on the spot and keep winning. Now, the Chiefs, I think they've done a phenomenal job this offseason. They've kept 3 key pieces to their team and re-signed them, even with no cap space. Somehow, like Tim alluded to, they don't believe in the cap, but they still kept 3 key players in Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, and obviously Patrick Mahomes. So that's going to be huge for them. But they did take a hit and lost Damian Williams, which leads me to one of my favorite rookies that I can't wait to see him get his chance, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He now gets his opportunity to play right away with Damian Williams opting out, which I love Damian Williams. But I'm actually really excited for Clyde Edwards-Helaire now to get more touches early on in his career and really show what he can do. That's exciting. So the Chiefs offense, it ought to be fun to watch. Shame they don't have Damian Williams now. That veteran leadership is going to hurt, and that versatility is going to hurt. But I think Edwards-Helaire is going to give them a run game that they haven't had in a while.
You know, speaking of rookies, you're looking at Edwards-Helaire. I'm looking at Justin Herbert with the Los Angeles Chargers. Ooh. He's not going to start because he's just not ready. But, man, he's got physical tools. He's got fun tape to watch. I was a big Tua guy for the Dolphins in the draft, but towards the end, I wanted Tua, but it wouldn't be doomsday if it was Justin Herbert. I like him a lot. I think the Chargers have a top 10 roster. I'm looking at the roster up and down. They got a weakness at tackle, no doubt. And Anthony Lynn's a good head coach. I like Anthony Lynn as a head coach. But I think he's going to be incentivized to keep Tyrod Taylor in as long as possible, to keep stability in at quarterback and not bring in the young guy who's going to make mistakes. The Chargers are a very, very modern franchise. They don't do things the old school way. So I just know if Anthony Lynn has an under 500 season, this is going to end up with Anthony Lynn being fired when he shouldn't be because he's a damn good football coach. And they're going to bring in the quarterback guru type of guy. And we saw this in Miami with Joe Philbin and Adam Gase. They're going to fire Anthony Lynn if the Chargers are bad, which is why I think we won't see Justin Herbert until towards the end of the year because Anthony Lynn wants to keep his job.
That's a very good point. I hope he doesn't get fired for that because he has had 2 winning seasons in a row. But Anthony Lynn, if he feels like Justin Herbert's ready to go, he'll start him. But he's not going to be in a rush because he's all about player development, and he is a player's coach. And Justin Herbert, Tim, there's a reason that we were together on this show. I was actually a big Justin Herbert fan. I love his tools. I like Tua as well. I like the quarterbacks in this draft a lot. And Herbert has every tool. I'm excited to see what he can do in that offense, especially a head coach that loves to run the football. It's a running back. And then you look at the big receivers he has. He has Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Mike Williams is a perfect receiver for Justin Herbert. So I'm actually, like you said, they have a talented roster. I'm excited to see what they can do. They re-signed Austin Eckler. I think it's a perfect situation for him, and I can't wait to see how he does in that system. It's exciting to watch.
Speaking of rosters, perfect situations, and systems, what do you think about what's going on down in the NBA and the bubble and the MLB without the bubble and their chaos and all that stuff?
I think they rushed everything. I really feel like they just wanted to hurry up and get the season in and be the first sport back. So the idea was there. I don't think they thought everything through, and I don't think they had the player. They had the players' safety first in mind, and Adam Silver's done a great job with that. But I feel like there's so much they could have done better, and it's not working out in my opinion as well as they thought it would.
Well, is it the play or just the way that look? I tried to watch a game the other night, because there ain't been sports to actually watch live, and about 10 minutes in, I had to turn it off, and it wasn't because the game was bad. It just was weird. It just felt weird. It felt wrong, and I couldn't get myself invested in it. And honestly, I guess maybe it's because I'm such a football to the bone. My marrow, bleeds little footballs, that it's hard for me to really get into it without the fans and all the weird stuff that's going on and how it's designed and try to keep up with all their storylines. But I don't know. I just couldn't watch it.
It kind of looks like a bunch of pro players just did a pickup game. That's what it does. Kind of have that feeling. Like it's just a game you go to the gym basketball court and there's a bunch of dudes hanging out playing basketball. I mean, it kind of has that feel a little bit to it. It's just it definitely has a weird feeling watching, but it's not as fun as it used to be to watch. Obviously live, and I guess that's the price we're paying right now. And I think that's maybe why players are opting out. Look like it's not entertainment if we're not our hearts aren't 100% into it. And I think some of the players are playing a little scared too and timid, and rightfully so. I get it. They don't want to get sick and get their family sick. So I understand. So the value of the game might not be quite the same this year.
Tim, do you watch any of that stuff, and how much of it do you watch? How in depth do you get on the other sports out there? Because I know you're a Dolphins guy, you're a football guy, but do you get into that stuff more, watching the MLB and NBA and stuff?
Well, yeah, I've been watching the bubble, and I've been watching some baseball. When it comes to the bubble, there's one thing that really caught my eye, and is I am really worried about the LA Lakers. They just finished their last game right now. They went 3-5 in the restart. And it's not just the fact that they went 3-5. They can't score. They're not scoring the way they did in the regular season, and they can't defend on the perimeter. Avery Bradley opted out. He's one of the few NBA players to not come to the bubble. So they signed J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters. These guys can't defend. And I'm looking at, they've already locked up the number 1 seed. So they're either going to play, most likely, Portland, who's got Damian Lillard averaging 50 points a game this week, and the undefeated Phoenix Suns. I don't want to see those teams if I can't score. And on top of that, Anthony Davis needs to step up. Before this season started, everyone's talking about, is this the best player LeBron's ever played with? Clearly not, because you go back to 2011, if everything was like it is right now, Dwayne Wade's not coming to a bubble and playing like that. Anthony Davis needs to step up in the playoffs. If they're relying on Kyle Kuzma to hit game-winning threes against the backups of the Denver Nuggets, they're in trouble, especially since they're going to play a red-hot team in the first round, probably Houston in the second round, who can score with anybody, and then the Clippers, who are the deepest team in the league in the conference finals. I'm worried about the Lakers, and I'm hoping they don't just try to put everything on LeBron's shoulder come playoff time, because Anthony Davis is an MVP candidate. He needs to step up big time, or they're going to get bounced.
I think Anthony Davis is just afraid that Giannis might headbutt him or kick him in the balls or bite his finger or something. I mean, as a guy that's like from a Wisconsin kind of kid originally, like I'm just telling you, like I'm not a big basketball guy, but like I liked Giannis before because he was like kind of like. He's kind of got a split personality. Like, he's very polite and well-spoken, but I think he's got a little Mike Tyson in him, and then it happened last night. And so I think the big guys are just scared of him now. I mean, he's not the biggest or anything, but he's just clearly lost a screw, and he might bite you, he might headbutt you. And basketball players don't like that kind of contact, so the Bucks might have he might have intimidated his way for the Bucks to win their first championship since, like, 71.
Well, they need that because if they don't, he's gone.
And
next
COVID,
year.
if you're about to, he's headbutting people in COVID. Well, that's really craziness.
Hey, that kind of mentality worked for Dennis Rodman back in the day. Mm-hmm. That was a tough dude right there.
Without a global pandemic.
Yeah, and that dude would still be playing if he was playing in today's time. He would be playing despite this pandemic. I don't know much about what's going on with the Lakers. They don't seem to be the same team they were before this all started. Maybe they lost their mojo or what, but at the same time, this Lakers team does kind of remind me of that Cleveland Cavaliers team that surprised the Warriors in that NBA championship. So, I mean, it could, but I don't know.
What the Lakers' problem is?
What?
It's that they always hang on to the name and the star and don't make the business decision that's actually going to win them games. They remember how they paid Kobe like $50-some million and it made it so they couldn't get anybody else to come there and he was past his prime, breaking down. And what did they do? LeBron's last good year, really good year where you're going to get LeBron that can play 1,000 freaking games in a row and still be LeBron. Was that the Warriors took it from him. They snatched the rest of what the real LeBron could be every night. Now you get spurts of him, just like you would get spurts of the old Jordan, spurts of Kobe Bryant. And they paid him. And then because it wasn't working out, then they panicked and they sold the farm to get another guy that's really big and again, has some moments and everybody loves him. And they just always make the wrong choice.
The names don't work unless they can work together. It's the way the Warriors worked. They became big names on the teams they were on. I mean, remember the Thunder, they had a lot of big names at the time. They had Durant, they had Westbrook, they had Harden all on the same team, but they all couldn't share that spotlight together. But they were a good team together. That Thunder were a good team for a while. And then they all broke off, went on their own, but they couldn't win it all together. But they could play in the regular season, they could make it in the playoffs, but they couldn't finish the season. And the teams that have it fully together 100% can win it all.
What do you think,
that's the truth
Tim?
in every sport.
If you would have asked me 2 months ago, I'd say the Lakers are runaway champs. I'm not convinced anymore. I don't think they make it out of the West.
Who?
Quickly,
who
you got as your like matchups here quickly coming out of this bubble? Because clearly you're more in tune to this here, so I want you to lead the charge on this because you clearly are more invested in watching the pickup games on national TV.
Out of the West, I'll take the Clippers. They're the deepest team. Depth is going to matter in the bubble. And out of the East, I want to say Milwaukee because I'm a really big believer in Giannis. But I saw what Toronto did to him last year. You can beat Giannis with length and team defense. So I'm looking at the best team defense team in the East, and I'm trying not to be a homer, but I think the Miami Heat make a run. I think they dispose of the Pacers pretty easily, and I think there's no matchup harder for Giannis than Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat.
Wow.
Now, are they going to play defense in the same light, knowing that with the global pandemic, they might get headbutted if they poke him too many times?
Oh, this is a Pat Riley-led team. You don't got to worry about them.
Pat Riley might come out there and poke him in the eye. You just never know.
Absolutely.
All right. You got anything else for us, Tim, in the other sports world before we wrap it up tonight?
Just a quick thing on the Astros. So I don't know if anyone's paying attention to the nefarious cheaters, Houston Astros. They're 8-10. That's a losing record. Not good. Jose Altuve, former MVP, he's hitting 187 without his buzzers and his trash cans. That's not good. Alex Bregman, he was a multiple-time All-Star, hit a walk-off in the World Series. He hit a home run in the All-Star game last year. He's hitting 250. Also not good for his standards. And then former World Series MVP George Springer is hitting a whopping 188 without his buzzers and his trash cans. So I know everyone in the sports world's happy to see it. My Dodgers are happy to see it. So as long as we can all enjoy the Astros suffering, I'm okay in life.
The world can turn to a new day because Tim's can sleep tonight. I love it.
Yes.
Man, no homerism at all there.
None whatsoever.
That's what happened.
I didn't hear it at all. I didn't hear any Tim said there. There was no homerism. I felt like that was all pure facts, and that's coming from a guy that knows nothing about baseball except for when
completely objective. I can say it under oath in court right now.
I will agree with that wholeheartedly, and there's nothing you can do, Bret, to convince me otherwise.
Hey, I don't know much about baseball either. I'll follow what Tim says then.
Tim, we're behind you 100%, bro.
Let's go.
All right, guys, last word for the night. Let's wrap it up.
Well, let's hope that we're having a season. Let's keep an eye out with these young college players, see where they go, see what happens with this season. And, of course, you keep it locked on Draft Brawl. You'll know what's going on with these players, and if they transfer and what decisions they make, we'll let you guys know. We'll keep you in tune. That's it for me. Tim, any last words?
If you guys want any more blatant homerism, check out Dolphins Brawl.
I love it.
That's awesome. Yes, it's awesome. All right, guys, that's the show. We'll be back one more time tomorrow night.
I got my fans in the stands.
So, remember, hit up the Brawl Network at Network Brawl on the Twitter. And also, give these guys a follow tonight. Tim is at Tim C. Rodriguez. Bret is at Bret Lagasse. And I am at UPJ33. Also, hit up the website, thebrawlnetwork.com. Go there, sign up for free. It's your one-stop shop. The Brawl has it all, baby. And don't forget to give them some more love on IG and on Facebook by searching the Brawl Network. Love y'all. Peace out. Talk at you tomorrow.
Now look me in the eyes and put your hand in mine. Whatever's about to happen right here in this moment of time. So let's draw a line right here in the sand. And let me say that on this very day is the day that we took a stand. Cause not just a game, it's more than a game. It's more than the hurt, it's more than the pain. It's more than the glory, it's more than the fame. This right here's about legacy, man, so it's bigger than me, it's bigger than us. We can lose sight in the midst of the fuss. Let's slow it down and take it in. Enjoy this moment, what's the rush? They want it back, but we wanted more. This is what we've been waiting for. With tears in our eyes, we let our hearts roar. Unleash war when we walk out this door. We won't be delayed, we won't be denied. In the end, we won't refuse with clear eyes, a full heart. There's no way that we can lose.